It's not the screaming matches you should fear. It's the silence that follows. I've sat across from hundreds of couples in my practice, and I can tell you that the most dangerous signal a woman gives before she falls out of love is the one you might not even notice until it's too late. It's quiet, insidious, and it poisons a relationship from the inside out. Let me paint you a picture. It's a Tuesday night. You're on the couch scrolling through your phone. She's on the other end doing the same. The TV is on, but neither of you is really watching. The silence isn't comfortable. It's just empty. You look over at her and realize you feel miles apart, even though you're only a few feet away. That right there, that's the epicenter of the earthquake that's about to shatter your world. The sad reality of love is that feelings can change, no matter how hard we try to hold on. But people often choose to stay in a relationship long after their heart has left, out of comfort, out of fear, or simply out of habit. They may be physically present, but emotionally, they've already packed their bags and moved out. This emotional departure doesn't happen with a dramatic fight or slammed doors. It creeps in quietly, showing up in subtle shifts you might dismiss as stress or a busy schedule. So, what is this one devastating signal? It's the great disengagement. It's the moment she stops trying, stops investing, and starts creating what psychologists call psychological distance. It's a conscious or subconscious strategy to mentally and emotionally remove herself from the relationship to lessen the discomfort of staying when she'd rather leave. This isn't one behavior. It's a constellation of them, a slow fade that culminates in the final, heartbreaking realization that you've lost her. Let's pull back the curtain and look at the anatomy of this disengagement, piece by painful piece. Chapter 1. The silence where curiosity lived, the questions disappear first. Think back to the beginning. She wanted to know everything. What you thought about that movie. How your big presentation went. The silly thing your coworker said that made you laugh. She was insatiably curious about the texture of your daily life. In psychology, we call these small inquiries bids for connection. They're the tiny threads that weave two lives together. When a woman starts to check out, she stops making those bids. The questions about your day become less frequent, then they stop altogether. This isn't about her forgetting once or twice. It's a consistent pattern where she no longer seeks to understand your daily experience. I remember a client, let's call him Mark, who told me, "We used to talk all the time, about anything and everything. Now our conversations feel almost one-sided." He was doing all the work, trying to keep the conversation afloat while she gave him nothing back. This leads to the second, more chilling stage of the communication breakdown. Her responses become increasingly generic. "That's nice," becomes her default reply to almost everything. "You got a promotion? That's nice." "You had a terrible fight with your brother?" "Oh, that's nice." "Wait, that's too bad." Her reactions feel flat, interchangeable, and completely devoid of emotion. This is because an emotionally withdrawn partner begins operating on autopilot in conversations. She's physically there, but she's mentally disengaged from the emotional content of what you're sharing. Pay attention to how she responds to both good news and bad news. When someone is emotionally invested, their reactions will naturally vary. An engaged partner mirrors your excitement or offers comfort for your pain. But when she's disengaging, your triumph and your tragedy are met with the same neutral, detached energy. It feels like you're having emotional experiences in total isolation, even when she's sitting right there. Chapter 2. The Landmines of Deeper Conversation. As the surface-level talk becomes barren, you might try to go deeper. You might try to talk about the future, about your relationship, about the growing distance between you. And that's when you'll notice the next sign. She avoids deeper conversations entirely. Suddenly, any topic that requires emotional depth becomes a landmine she has to sidestep. You bring up planning a vacation for next summer, and she suddenly remembers an urgent email she has to send. You try to talk about why things have felt off between you, and she says, "Not now, or we can talk about this another time." But another time never comes. This avoidance isn't accidental. Someone who has emotionally checked out instinctively steers clear of conversations that require authentic engagement or emotional commitments they no longer feel able to make. She'll happily discuss logistics, who's picking up groceries, what time you need to leave for that dinner party. But anything that touches the heart of your connection is deflected. She's protecting her emotional exit strategy. By limiting any discussion of future plans, She avoids making commitments or promises of a future together that she no longer sees. This behavior, which psychologists call non-involvement, is a powerful way to create distance. Her answers become vague and non-committal. Invitations are met with maybe or we'll see. That once clear vision of a shared future becomes hopelessly blurry, and you're the only one trying to bring it into focus. Chapter 3. The ghost of physical touch. As the emotional chasm widens, it starts to manifest physically. The hugs feel different, quick, obligatory, like checking a box. The kisses turn into brief pecks on the cheek or lips, devoid of passion or connection. Even casual touches, like a hand on your back as you pass in the hallway, lose their warmth and become purely functional. This shift in physical affection often happens before a person even consciously realizes they're withdrawing emotionally. The body language changes first, reflecting an internal disconnection that hasn't been verbalized yet. Spontaneous gestures of love disappear, replaced by a cold and distant demeanor. She might still go through the motions because she knows it's what's expected in a relationship, but the warmth is gone. This isn't just about sexual intimacy, though that often fades too or becomes perfunctory and rare. It's about the loss of those small, everyday physical reassurances that say, I see you, I'm with you, we're connected. When that physical warmth vanishes, it's a profound and deeply unsettling sign that the emotional foundation of the relationship is crumbling. Chapter 4. The Vanishing Act. When a woman starts to emotionally disengage, she also starts to physically disappear, even while living in the same house. Her priorities shift from shared activities to individual ones. Suddenly, she's much busier with hobbies, work projects, or friends that don't include you. This isn't about healthy independence, which is vital for any relationship. This is a clear and consistent pattern of prioritizing anything that doesn't require emotional engagement with you. She might start spending more time at the gym, taking on extra projects at work, or rekindling friendships she'd let slide. The activities themselves aren't the problem. The problem is the consistent choice to invest her emotional energy everywhere except the relationship. She stops putting effort into you or your shared life. You might find her increasingly absorbed in her own world, using her personal space as a buffer to keep you at a safe distance, both mentally and emotionally. When your partner starts building a life that feels completely separate from yours, she's often testing the waters of what it would feel like to be independent again. She is, in essence, practicing for the breakup. The jokes stop coming too. The playful teasing, the inside references, those moments of light-hearted connection, they become rare, or they disappear completely. Playfulness requires emotional engagement and a sense of safety. When someone withdraws, that lightness becomes too heavy to maintain because they are no longer invested in creating joy with their partner. Chapter 5. The Turn Towards the Hostile. For a while, the disengagement can remain passive. It's a quiet cold war of emotional distance. But if the situation doesn't resolve, if she continues to feel trapped in a relationship she no longer wants, the detachment can curdle into something more active and ugly: antagonism. This is where the work of renowned psychological researcher Dr. John Gottman becomes so chillingly accurate. He identified 4 communication styles so destructive that he called them the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. When they ride into a relationship, dissolution is often not far behind. Criticism, the first horseman. This isn't about voicing a complaint. It's an attack on your partner's character. A complaint is specific. I was worried when you were late and didn't call. Criticism is global and blaming. You never think about me. You're so selfish. It's often packed into absolute statements like you always or you never. It's the first sign that frustration is turning into a deeper personal attack. 2. Defensiveness, the second horseman. This is the natural but equally destructive response to criticism. Instead of hearing your partner's concern, you respond by defending yourself, shifting blame, or playing the innocent victim. It's a counterattack that says, the problem isn't me, it's you. This pattern creates a vicious cycle where no issue ever gets resolved. It just gets volleyed back and forth. Contempt, the third horseman. This is the single greatest predictor of divorce. Contempt is poison. It's fueled by a lack of admiration and respect, and it manifests as sarcasm, mocking, name-calling, eye-rolling, and scoffing. It's any communication that conveys disgust and disrespect. When a partner uses sarcasm or snide remarks to demean you, they are placing themselves on a higher moral ground, looking down on you as inferior. It creates a toxic atmosphere where connection becomes impossible. Stonewalling, the fourth horseman. This is the final stage and the ultimate manifestation of the great disengagement. After being bombarded by criticism, defensiveness, and contempt, one partner simply shuts down. They disengage from the conversation, look away, respond in grunts, or just leave the room. They appear busy or preoccupied to avoid conflict. This is not a healthy timeout. It's a complete withdrawal from the relationship itself. When your partner stonewalls you, they are essentially building a wall and leaving you on the other side, alone. When these behaviors become habitual, you're no longer in a slow fade. You're in a nosedive. The shared environment becomes tense and hostile, and you may find yourself feeling constantly on edge, unwelcome, and severely emotionally neglected. The why behind the withdrawal. How did we get here? A relationship doesn't arrive at this desolate place overnight. It's usually a death by 1,000 cuts, a slow accumulation of unresolved issues, unmet needs, and unspoken resentments. So, what are the common culprits that lead a woman to begin the process of emotional withdrawal? Growing apart and losing interest. This is perhaps the most common and least malicious reason. People change over time. The person you were at 23 is not the person you are at 45, and the same is true for her. Sometimes couples grow together, but other times they grow in different directions. What was once interesting and exciting can become boring or annoying. And if neither partner works to maintain curiosity and engagement, boredom can quickly curdle into annoyance and then into apathy. Different life goals and values. In the beginning, it's easy to overlook differences in core values or life goals. Maybe she's always dreamed of living abroad and you're deeply rooted in your hometown. At first, these seem like distant hypothetical problems. But as the relationship progresses, these differences can become major sticking points, especially when it comes to big decisions like marriage, raising children, or managing finances. When a couple can't agree on a shared future, one partner may start to mentally build a future of their own. Unresolved conflicts. Every couple argues, but healthy couples have a framework for managing conflict. When disagreements are consistently swept under the rug, resentment builds like a pressure cooker. She may feel that her feelings are dismissed or that the same issues come up over and over with no resolution. After a while, she may conclude that trying to resolve things is pointless, and it's at that point that she begins to emotionally detach as a form of self-protection. Lack of emotional and physical intimacy. A relationship can't survive without connection. This includes sexual intimacy, but it's much broader than that. It's about feeling seen, heard, and cherished. If her emotional needs aren't being met, if she feels lonely within the relationship, or if physical affection has disappeared, she will eventually stop seeking that connection from her partner and either turn inward or look elsewhere. External stressors and lack of support. Life is hard. Work stress, financial problems, health challenges, or family issues can put immense strain on a relationship. These storms can either bring a couple closer or tear them apart. If she feels like she's facing these challenges alone, or if she doesn't feel supported and understood by her partner, resentment can build and erode the foundation of the relationship. A breakdown of trust. Whether it's due to a major betrayal like infidelity or a slow erosion from small lies and broken promises, the loss of trust is catastrophic. Without trust, there is no safety, and without safety, genuine intimacy cannot survive. A glimmer of hope. The path. Back from the brink, reading all of this can feel like a punch to the gut, especially if you recognize your own relationship in these descriptions. You might be asking, is it too late? The honest answer is maybe. But recognizing these signals doesn't have to be a death sentence for your relationship. It's information. It's a wake-up call. Emotional withdrawal happens gradually, and just as gradually, it can sometimes be reversed if, and this is the crucial part, both people are willing to do the work. If you see these signs and want to fight for your relationship, the path back starts with one brave step: honest communication. You can't force someone to re-engage, but you can create a safe space for an honest conversation about what you're both experiencing. This isn't about blaming or getting defensive. It's about vulnerability. You could say something like, I've been feeling a little distant from you lately, and I miss us. I want to understand how you're feeling. Here are some concrete actions, grounded in what works, that can help bridge the gap. Eliminate distractions and make time. Set a no-phone rule for an hour each evening. Schedule a weekly date night, even if it's just a walk around the block or a board game at the kitchen table. The activity itself matters less than the intention to give each other your undivided attention. Practice active listening. When she talks, truly listen. Don't formulate your response. Don't interrupt. Make eye contact, nod, and maybe even repeat back what you heard to show you understand. Feeling heard is a powerful antidote to feeling lonely in a relationship. Show appreciation and kindness. The daily grind can make us forget to acknowledge the good things. Make a conscious effort to thank her for the little things she does. Leave a note, send a text, or just say, "I really appreciate you." Small acts of kindness show that you see her and value her. Revisit your core. Talk about what first brought you together. What did you used to do for fun? Try bringing some of that back. Sometimes reconnecting with the early, joyful parts of your history can remind you both of the love that's buried under years of routine and resentment. Address the unresolved. Gently bring up past hurts. But frame the conversation around finding a solution, not assigning blame. Use I statements. "I feel hurt when we argue about money," instead of, "You're so irresponsible with money." This focuses on your feelings, which is less likely to trigger defensiveness. Seek professional help. There is no shame in admitting you can't fix it alone. A couples therapist can provide a neutral space and the tools to navigate difficult conversations and rebuild your emotional bond. Seeking therapy isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of profound commitment to making the relationship work. The final word. Ultimately, the one signal a woman gives before falling out of love is not a single act, but a pervasive quietness. It's the sound of her giving up. It's the absence of effort, the death of curiosity, the slow retreat into herself until she's emotionally gone long before her body follows. Recognizing this signal is painful, but it is also a moment of clarity. It presents you with a choice. You can choose to ignore it and watch as the distance grows into an uncrossable canyon. Or you can choose to face it with courage and honesty. You can ask the hard questions and be prepared to hear the hard answers. Sometimes that conversation can be the beginning of a long, difficult, but rewarding journey back to each other. Other times, it's the beginning of a respectful and honest ending. Either way, you will have moved from a place of quiet desperation to one of conscious action. And in love, as in life, choosing to face the truth, no matter how painful, is the only way to truly move forward. Your emotional well-being is too important to ignore the deafening sound of her silence.